Hi, everybody. It's me, Charles Norman, Sports Solutions LLC. We are the creators of Athletic SOS. And so today, this one's, um, I, I want to put this together the right way. September 1st, it's September now, and happy Labor Day to everyone. Um, this could be the most devastating week for a lot of the student athletes that were thinking they were going to get an athletic scholarship. And I want to explain that because I went through this with my daughter. It's been a while, but this is the time where you're going to get that phone call. This is a contact period. So for the college coaches to be able to contact you, there are all of these rules they have to follow so they don't overwhelm the kids while they're still attending high school. So, there's evaluation periods, there's signing periods, there's dead periods where they can't say anything to you, and there's all these little things that they can do, and there's contact periods. And so this is one of those contact periods. And what happens with September 1st, I think it's to the 15th, and maybe it changed. I was looking at it. It's all these different rules, and it's different for signing versus contacting you and all that kind of stuff. But that September 1st, at least for girls basketball, back when we did this, and it's been about 10 years, um, they could contact you, and everybody's looking for those days, right? That is the beginning, because if they contact you on day one, and I know the holidays coming at the same time, but they can call you, and if they contact you on day one, they're serious about you, and you've got some options. And so I want to back up a little bit, because the year going into it, so let's imagine you're a high school junior, you're going through your season, and you're starting to get these letters, right? Because before that, probably that summer before your junior year, you did viewing tournaments and all of the different events that you had to do, right, to get seen. And you're on the move, and college coaches are looking for you, right? They're trying to figure out who's our next person we're going to come and recruit. And so you're starting to get these letters, and my daughter's room was full of letters. We had letters all over the wall. And it's not that she had so many schools after her, it's that each school was sent a series of letters. It wasn't just one letter. So they would send stuff about team bonding, and if they took a trip somewhere, they would say, hey, look at all of us together, and they're always having fun, and the season's getting started, and hey, come down and check us out. All these different things that are coming. And this is for every school, and she had a lot of schools that were looking at her. And so on September 1st, you're waiting for that phone to just start ringing, 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 ringing. And for my daughter, on her first day, 3 phone calls. 3. We got a room full of letters. 3. And so it was very sobering for everybody. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. And in your mind at that time, you're thinking, oh, okay, well, it's the first. The holidays are coming up. A lot of stuff's going on. We'll start getting more calls. And so a few more trickled in. But the interesting thing was on that first day, that call that we got on one of the 3 teams, they asked if she had she taken the SAT again. Now, my daughter had a decent score. It wasn't a great score, but it wasn't a bad score. And so they said, she's going to take it again. And what we didn't know was you had to make sure your SAT score, not only did you pass or that you qualify for some schools, did you qualify for the schools that were looking at you? And that's the big thing. And you had to be in the eligibility centers too, because that's where they were kind of looking, but they would search it out anyway. They had their own ways of searching out. So whatever score she had didn't quite put her where she needed to be for that school. That's why they were asking that question. But it also told me that the fact that they were asking if we take it again meant they still were interested. Even if you didn't fit what their school was looking for, they wanted her there. And I that registered that. That was a big deal to me. And the other schools, the other 2 schools, they were all interested. But the other thing that happens on this phone call in September is they invite you to their homecoming for their football team if they have a football team. And that's really what was going. They wanted us to come down. They were going to pay for the trip. And so these schools are really serious. And the interesting thing about that phone call, when the person asked, I said, that was her second score. I said, but her ACT score, she did really good in the ACT, and that coach perked up big time. They go, what score? And I gave him the score, and then she said, okay, don't do anything else. And I just started laughing. I said, okay, I won't do anything else. But I could hear in her voice that was her answer. She got what she wanted. But anyway, so what ended up happening was that her high school counselor had the score, her ACT score, but they hadn't put it up yet. And so all those schools, I think those schools got scared out. And I know that must be the case, because that following Tuesday when school started, I called up, I talked to the counselor, and she said, yeah, no, I'm going to put it up there. And she put it up, and a couple of days later, phone calls started coming in. And so that meant that they went back, and some of the schools went back and checked. It wasn't all the schools that were on the wall, though, not even close. And so with this, the reason I'm bringing all of this stuff up is what ends up happening is, and what I think is the most disappointing thing about this recruiting thing. You've been hearing from these coaches. They've been calling you. You've got this feeling that you're going here. You've got this one school in your head that is your dream school, the one that you want to go to. But what you don't know as a student athlete is you don't know where you sit on that list because you never asked that question. That is one of the questions you should ask when you're talking to those coaches. Hey, where am I in your hierarchy? So you might be number 3, you might be number 5, you might be number 2, you might be number 1. I don't know where you sit, but you need to know that number, especially for your position if it's a team sport. How many of these people are they thinking about bringing in? Nobody asks those questions because you're so giddy with the idea that you're on somebody's list and they're calling you and they're sending these letters and you guys are kind of going back and forth and you feel good. You feel like, hey, I've got all these choices and all these options, but you really don't. Because if they get that person that they wanted on top of you, not only do they take that person, they don't even call you with the courtesy of saying, hey, don't do anything else. Now, it's interesting. Some of the schools that we were really interested in, my wife, who doesn't take me, if you don't call me, I'm cool. We got some stuff going on. Let's concentrate on that. But my wife's the other way. So she calls, and the coaches from the other schools were like, well, did you get any calls? Did any offers? Yeah, we got some. Well, don't wait for us. That's what they told us. Well, don't wait for us. And that is their code for saying, hey, don't, go ahead and do what you're going to do because we're probably not coming after you. But they never just say, hey, we're not interested. That would be the best thing to say. Hey, we're not interested. We're going in a different direction. Whatever else they need to say, you don't really get that because they're always leaving something open because the person they think they may have may back out at the last minute. So they don't want to burn their bridges. But you want to go, and I guess this is my bottom line on this thing. You want to go someplace where they want you, that you're the prize, that they actually want you there. And so we did. We took our trips and everything. And the interesting thing about this, more than anything, I had a list. I'm very meticulous on how I'm doing this stuff. I had a list of the schools that we were most interested in, and a few of those did call. And some of them we could drive to, so we didn't have to make them pay, so we could take more than our 5 paid trips. So we would go to these schools, but the one that my daughter ended up falling in love with was not on my top 10, 15 list, and it turned out to be the best thing that happened to her. It doesn't mean the other schools wouldn't have been great, the ones that she dreamed about, the ones she wanted to go to, the ones I wanted her to go to, because I wanted to go to the game, so they were local, but they were in a place where maybe it's an hour, hour and a half drive, so she was close, but not too close, like I could get to her if I needed to. One was 3 hours away, and the others are plane rides away, but they weren't hard to get to. And so that would be what I wanted. My daughter I'm on the West Coast. She ended up going to school on the East Coast. Turned out to be a great thing for her. So you don't know how things are going to turn out. And in my opinion, this is the way I've always lived my life. No matter what comes up, it's going to be okay. I just have to figure out now, here's my situation. What do I do to make this great? What do I do to make this work for us? And so I want you guys to get in the mindset. But the other reason I wanted to kind of bring all this stuff up is that one of the reasons we put Athletic SOS together is so that you weren't sitting and being at the beck and call of someone else, that you're waiting for somebody to have discovered you playing, to decide that they're interested in you, to follow you enough to where they're going to make you an offer. We want you to do it the other way. Find the schools that fit you, where you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to go, and then let them know that you're interested in them. Twist it around a little bit. You still go the other way, right? The traditional way, where you're going to showcases and viewing tournaments and combines and all these events, and you're trying to get discovered. Go ahead and do that. That's the way it is right now. That's the way the youth sports system is worked out. But use Athletic SOS and go and find the schools that you want to go to. Where do you want to be? Why do you want to be there? Do they have your major? What kind of environment is it? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? Because that is the future for our kids. If it's parents listening to me, this is the future for our kids. You're going to have to run a parallel life. You're going to have to go with the traditional way that the world's worked. You go to school, you get good grades, you go to college or trade school or whatever you're going to do, and then you go and try to get a job. And then you try to work through that job and work your way up the ladder. Maybe you change jobs a couple of times to kind of keep moving around, make a little bit more money so that you can live and eat and start a family or whatever it is you want to do there. That is the way it's been. But that is dying. I'm telling you guys, as I'm speaking here, this is dying. The other way is you go through, you take this youth sports journey, because that's what we're all about. The youth sports journey, how do we leverage that so you can have a remarkable life? And as you're going through that journey, you're picking up assets, people that you know. You're going to these different places. Ideas are coming in your head. What can we do next? You're meeting other athletes. You're meeting other parents. You're meeting coaches. You're meeting these event people. All this stuff is happening. You've got access because you're an athlete. And if you're trying to get an athletic scholarship, you're a good athlete. And so you're getting access. You're going to the back rooms. You get to go in here. You're getting on these buses. You're stopping here. They've got all these people coming in to speak with you. All of this stuff is going on, and you're just kind of meandering through it. I want you to start paying attention. And that is where you're going to say, okay, I did it the right way, but here's some other cool stuff that happened along the way. Here's some people that I met along the way. I'm going to do something even bigger. You're starting your own social media. You're not waiting for NIL, whether it's high school or college NIL. High school NIL is here, man. It's here real big time. In fact, I'm going to meet some people this next week regarding that. You got to have your own. You got to do your own. You got to do more than you were doing before. And so this is for our kids, and we got to get them in that mindset. There's really not a lot of time to relax. And this is one of the other things. I hear a lot of people not complaining, but talking about, you know, the grind. You got to work so much. You got to have 2 jobs. There's not enough money to go around, all that kind of stuff. I think the world of leisure is kind of going away. But I want to tell you guys this. If you get into a world where you're trying to grow something, you're trying to build something, you will have fun while you're doing it. Yeah, there's a grind and you got to do something. You already went to work all day. You're already tired. You're already, you just want to come home, watch some football, get something to eat, and just decompress. I get it. That's what you want to do. But I'm telling you right now, we've just sort of been brainwashed into we need this sort of downtime to decompress. And not that you got to go, but if you come up with something you want to do and you start to pin it out, put it on some paper, you start to work towards it. So that same time period, you got a lot of time that we waste. I'm just going to say it that way, that we kind of waste. And then what will happen is that you start walking down this road, make it entrepreneurship, whatever you want to do. But you got to keep that job, right? You got to have money coming in. Don't quit your job to do this. But you start this other project. And what you're doing now is you're going into legacy mode. And I think everybody should be in legacy mode. And so what you're trying to do is you, mom, dad, whatever you do for your living, whoever you are. You may not come out at the end of it yourself, but what you're building, and your kids are watching you. This is the beauty of it, is that, hey, mom, dad, they're going to work every day, and we're doing this thing. They got to be exhausted. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to build something, some stepping stones that are different than, oh, I'm going to make enough money. We're going to make sure we're paying attention to you. You're going to be playing sports. We're going to take some vacations. We're going to, I've got your back. We're making enough money for us to have a good life. That's not good enough anymore. It has to be, hey, we're going to be building something. In fact, you're telling your kids it's not good enough, right? I know it's not. I recognize it. And so I'm going to do some extra. And as you're watching me, I'm expecting this of you. And so I'm going to build a baseline for you that's above what everybody else has so that you can build on that. And if you have kids, then your kids will be able to take advantage of that. I tell my wife all the time, I go, our job is to be the picture on the wall, and people walk by that wall and whatever business, whatever they're doing, they go, these are the people that started it. These are the people that took the time to say, hey, we're going to do a little bit more. And so I think that's where we need to be. And one of the other things that, I've been doing this software for a while, and we've got some traction here, and I'm working with some really great people, some really great companies, and I'm very proud of where we are right now in our efforts. But I talk to people that are senior vice president of this, chief operating this, all these people, they got these fantastic titles, but they can't make the call. They can't say, okay, we're going to go do this. Because in order to get to that position, the number one thing is don't make any mistakes. And I get it now. And even for those people, as we're talking, maybe we're having lunch or we're having a dinner or we're doing something together, we're at an event together. And I tell everybody, I go, hey, you got to start something on your own, because these are some smart people, some really gifted people, but they're in a big company and they've worked their way up to a really good position, and they can't make that call because they have to be safe too. And so how is that live? You got a lot of money coming in, you got a lot of perks, you're traveling, you're doing all this cool stuff. You need to do something for yourself too. I just think everybody's going to have to do it. I think that is the future. And so I want our kids to get that in their heads now, because that's what's coming up. So how do we do that? Well, first step is Athletic SOS, so that you don't, so on that day on September 1st or whatever the date is for your sport, where they make that contact into your senior year, that you're going into your senior year, school just started. They can make that phone call to you, that you have the phone calls from the places that recognized you and saw you somewhere and came after you the traditional way, but also those same schools that you saw that you were interested in, and you let them know you were interested in them. They're coming after you too. And so you're not quite as nervous. You don't get sandbagged on the back end. And it's funny, I live in suburbia. I'm going to tell you guys, the interesting thing about that with my daughter was, you start getting calls from the other parents. Oh, hey, how did your daughter do? Did she get blah, blah, blah? They're fishing. And it's that slight little digs that they take. Oh, is that the school that called? Or is this? And it's so interesting to me because I live in a world of whatever. You know, for other people, there are people that are like that. I pay attention to people. I don't make a big deal of it, but my wife takes it personally. And so, you know, once we got my daughter settled in, she got her scholarship, and she ended up having a great career playing. And the people that she was around there, she's still in touch with now. Her college friends, like I think I've said this in a previous one, the girl that she was competing with for that point guard position. My daughter played point guard, and they don't recruit that many of them at the schools. That was one of our big problems on her recruiting side of it. If you, depending on the position you are, let's say you're a kicker for football or something like that, that they don't need that many of those, right? That they're not going to waste a lot of positions on those. So once they pick one, that's it. And so her big thing was that the girl that she was competing with for that spot when she came in, because the head coach wanted one person, the assistant coach wanted my daughter. I wish it was the other way around, but it wasn't. But my daughter ended up having a great career, started after about her fourth or fifth game and started the rest of her career. But the point I guess I'm making is that they became such good friends. They were supposed to be adversaries, that they are the best of friends now. They've had their kids at the same time, and they don't even live in the same state, but they contact each other all the time. They're really just that close. And those are the kind of things that I think we're trying to generate for our kids. And I think they're going to end up doing things together. And so, and then their husbands get along. It's just a cool thing. I'm sitting there watching it from afar, and I go, if she doesn't go to that school, this doesn't happen. And so, and I know it could have happened anywhere. And yes, you could have went to a better school, and maybe you would have met better people, and maybe you would have had a better career. That's all cool too. But wherever you are, it's good. Move forward with it and take it and build on top of it and get to where you want to get to. So I wish the best for all of you guys. I know how nerve-wracking this week is going to be for a lot of you, but you're not stuck. Again, use Athletic SOS. So even if you're not getting those calls in, and you may end up having to go to a JC or a smaller school or something like that, you can still use Athletic SOS. I give you the code. Look down below in the description. I give you the code. I give you instructions for how to use the code. Software costs you absolutely nothing. The fact that you sat here and watched me, like I say, babble in this park is good enough for me. And we're building ourselves up for the other things that we want to do. I want to, everybody always writes me and says, okay, what do you mean about access? And what do you mean about leveraging and all that kind of stuff? I'm putting it together. And so I'll start revealing more and more and more. And I said this last year, and things took a little while, but the things are there. I went ahead and did it myself instead of waiting for other people to come along with me. And so I'll start revealing some of that stuff as we move forward. But you don't need to wait for me, just like I shouldn't be waiting for other people. You're going to have to do stuff for yourself. So start, use the software, costs you nothing. All right. And then go start searching for schools. So if you don't get those calls back, find out based on your academic information, which schools do you academically qualify to attend, and then reach out to them. So there's schools that still aren't going to get any of the people that they thought that they wanted. And so they're going to be looking. We just updated the software, so all the new coaches should be in there. There's a lot of TBAs. What else was I going to tell you guys? Oh, and there's a lot of schools dropping sports. Some are adding some new sports in. So, take a look. There's a lot of sports out there. You have to pick the sport that you're looking for when you register, because we have different versions of the software. The one I'm giving you at no cost. You're going to have to pick a sport. But if you want to beat the system, you can use a different email address and make another account, right, for another kid or something like that. If you want to do another sport, make your kid two of them. But it's just a different email account when you do the registration, and you can go ahead and use it that way if you need to. Don't tell anybody I told you that. My team's going to have a fit that I even said that. But there's always a way around. But I want you guys to use the software because I want you guys to be in the driver's seat on this journey that you're taking. You want to play at the next level, you can play there. And you may have to go to JC. But we have all the JCs that will give you money, give you books. Or maybe you were looking at D1 and you want to look at D2 schools, or you want to look at D3 schools, NAIA schools. They're all there. They're all in our system. Where do you qualify? and you may have to make a mad dash. Now, we do have a what do you do if you're a senior and you didn't get anything? Usually that comes into play somewhere around February, March. That second sign, this is the early signing period that will be in, I think this starts in November 1st. You do the early signings, and a lot of kids sign off, but there's always a second signing. Not that many kids get picked up on the second signing. Most of the colleges have already got the people they want, or they're willing to wait till the next year. And now you've got the transfer portal. You got kids coming out of junior college. So you've got a lot of stuff going on now. You're competing not just with other high school players. Now you're competing with all of these college players, the ones that, like I said, want to transfer or want to, they're in the transfer portal or want to transfer from a junior college, community college, to a four-year school. And so there's a lot of competition there. So you want to get things done. If you have an opportunity to sign, go ahead and sign. The other thing that I think a lot of families don't recognize is, even though the college coaches have a lot of rules on when they can contact you, you can contact them anytime. There are no rules for you picking up the phone and calling that coach. Find out where you are and ask the hard question. Where am I on your list? Are you guys still interested in us? And then how many people are you bringing in this year? So those are things that you need to know so that you can position yourself a little bit better, that you can be in the driver's seat. As always, you guys, best of luck to you in all your endeavors, everything you want to do. We got to be on our move, man. We're all in legacy mode now. That's for you, the parent, grandparents. You guys start something too. I'm a grandparent now. So start something yourselves. It's not too late. You got a while here. And then for the kids, we've got to get them in a different mindset. The world changed. And I'll say it. I'm going to say it on every video now. 2020, moving forward, different world. Just that simple. The traditional way of doing it, you still have to do it. Our kids, these kids that are coming up right now are still in that hybrid system where you got to follow the old pattern, but you got to have another lane that you're running down at the same time. I'm on that lane that we're running down. I've given you a tool for the traditional way if you want to, but I'm on that lane that we've got to run down parallel at the same time. Same time. That's what we're at. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next week.